In today's video, I'm going to be showing you the easiest way to EQ your mix bus during the mastering process. This is awesome for beginners. This is going to teach you a lot about mixing and mastering in general. So definitely stick around. Definitely make sure to smash that like button. As always, check the links below. Links to my vocal recording course, vocal mixing course, and vocal enhancer for FL Studio. If you would also like to make use of automated mastering, definitely check out LANDR. LANDR is a full-fledged audio suite that allows you to master, distribute your music, etc., etc. Definitely check the link below. Let's hop straight into the tutorial. So as you can see right here, I have an equalizer, and you may not be able to see, but there are three different bands that we have in this equalizer. And essentially, this is what I want you to be able to perceive when you're listening to a track. Okay, what I was taught when I began, messing around with audio was that you need to be able to categorize each different part of a song in terms of frequency. Okay, now what do I mean by that? Well, we've got three colors here. Okay, green means bass, blue means mid, and then the purple means treble. Okay, I'm sure you've seen this before in a car audio system or on the Windows media player or whatever it is, right? It's always been there, and I'm sure that's the reason why you're mixing today, right? You wanted to take it further. And so it's simple as that, right? When you're listening to a track, think about it in terms of those three sections, right? As you get better, you can obviously, refine that even more. You can start hearing 400 hertz, for example, but you don't have to know every little frequency, right? All you need to know what to do is to go, the song maybe sounds a bit too bright. It sounds a bit too harsh. Okay, well, what are we going to do then? We're going to be reducing the treble. Hey, the song sounds a bit too kind of nasal, maybe a bit too busy. Maybe it's that mid-range where maybe we have a bit too much going on right there. Maybe the song sounds a bit too warm or a bit too kind of tubby, right? Or maybe it's the bass, right? When we can kind of look at our sound in that way, I'm telling you, sound and mixing gets a lot easier. So this is why this is such an important tip. Okay, so I'm kind of going to be, we're going to be listening to all the different bands, and I really want you to listen in, and then we'll do a bit of editing, right? So first things first, let's turn all of this off because we won't really be using it. We just simply, I just used it as a visual reference guide. We'll take a listen to this track I have right here. It's just a quick beat that I made from our Cookup beat making template. Check that out in the description. It's super cool. It has a whole bunch of kind of channels set up for you to just make your beat and then do a rough mix and get a good result. But we'll just take a listen real quick, and I've on purpose emphasized one of these sections, and that's what we're going to be treating. So take a listen real quick, decide what you think is wrong, and then we'll kind of compare results. So let's get it. So that should be enough to kind of give you an idea of what you think may be popping out a bit too much in the track. Okay, I already know what it is. Hopefully you've got the right answer. But again, just for reference sake, let's pull up a span meter. Definitely download this. This is the Voxengo SPAN, 100% free. And this is one of the best visual guides that you're going to have available to you, right, in terms of kind of studying your frequencies, right? Now, the reason I didn't pull up this first was because we always want to be using our ears first, okay? We always want to perceive the sound before we start visualizing the sound, right? That way we're not just kind of fooling ourselves, and because your emotions change, right? Today you could feel that maybe visually 2K is annoying, right? But it isn't. That's not the case. Your ear is always going to tell the truth first. So let's take a listen again. Alrighty, so I'm going to give the answer right now, and it is the treble that is a bit too overemphasized. Okay, we can hear that hi-hat is popping out. Now, since I have the whole mix in front of me, it's probably my best interest to simply just turn down the hi-hat, okay? But let's just say you've been tasked to master a track and we don't have that option anymore. It's time to put up that EQ, okay? Remember, it's always important to do, to work moving forward, okay? Mastering should really just be slight refinement. We'll try and do our best job here, but again, if you have the option to turn something down, just turn it down. okay? But anyway, let's just say we're mastering, right? Because that's what we're focusing on. We now know, we've identified, okay, the treble sounds a bit harsh to me. How can we deal with that? Well, there are a few different ways, right? A, we can just make use of EQ, okay? B, we could make use of dynamic EQ. C, we could make use of compression. Now, all of those are going to yield slightly different results. I'll need to do separate videos on each and every one. But for today, we're just going to be focusing on EQ, okay? So what we're going to be doing is, we now know treble, right? Hi-hat, because hi-hat's associated with treble. It's this region, okay? Let's take a listen. Let's first, for the sake of it, let's just listen to every different region. Go to where that 808 is. Where would that be here? That sounds pretty good, right? There's nothing really that's popping out, right? Obviously, we shouldn't be listening to music like this, but for the sake of reference. Sounds good, right? It sounds pretty balanced, right? Now let's listen to that treble. Where are our hi-hats right here? Oh, there we go. So now we can hear right there, those hi-hats are a bit too aggressive, right? So now we know we're quite happy with these two bands. We're not so happy with the treble. Now we know we just need to EQ the treble. One common mistake that amateurs will make is they will boost the bass, boost the mid-range in order to make the mid-range sound less. That is not the way we work. You're working backwards if you work like that, okay? We're simply going to be focusing on that mid-range, reducing it a little bit, right? Not too much, because this is mastering, okay? If we were mixing, we'd simply turn down the hi-hats, okay? But let's kind of find that region now. So we can see it's right around there. So now it's time to pull up an EQ, okay? Now there are two types of EQs. We can have a shelving EQ, which looks like this, okay? It's going to be moving in a kind of ramp fashion, okay? And then we have a bell EQ, which is essentially, you know, it looks like a slope really, or a ramp or something like that, right? And that's essentially what I want to be using right here, because we can kind of hone in on the frequency that we want to deal with and then deal with it, right? So general references with mastering, you don't really want to be doing more than about 3 dB at max. That is already a lot. Okay, 1 to 2 dB is generally where I like to be working, so we can make this EQ resolution even less, okay? For me, I'm quite happy with that, right? But I'm sure if you still, you know, kind of tuning your ear, it might not be as, you know, you may think, oh, I don't hear any difference, right? Let's do a little bit more for the sake of that. We'll go to about 3 dB. Now, that obviously is too much because we are beginning to affect other things in the mix, and this is why we don't go really more than 3 dB, 2 dB. If you are feeling that you are doing that much, it is then time to obviously, you know, talk to your client or go back to your mix and fix those errors, right? But without, you know, kind of causing too much damage, around 2 dB is fine, right? Kind of smoothens out our track, right? Now, for a little bonus, why don't we just create a little dynamic EQ, right? Because that is technically still EQ. For those who don't know what dynamic EQ is, it's essentially almost like a compressor. It basically kicks in when things get a bit too loud or when there's a little element that pops in the zone, right, that you don't want. So right here, this EQ has a dynamic section, so we'll pull it to about 3 dB. And for the sake of this, let's actually copy the kind of filter that we had earlier, right? Just for reference sake. So we'll do it about that much. And then this dynamic section right here, you'll see what it does. Ooh, that's weird. I've never seen that before. So now suddenly the song sounds good, right? Suddenly it's like, oh wow, the 808s sound cool, you know what I mean? The mid-range sounds good, mid-range sounds good, and now the top end is smooth, and I can just already picture a vocal sitting on top of this. Obviously, we don't have a vocal in this mix to make things a little bit more complicated. That's why I like to kind of do examples with beats, because we really just get to hear the tone of the track, right? And this is how you do it. It's as simple as that. Again, as you get more advanced, I can do a tutorial on this later on. We begin to introduce analog style EQs. We begin to introduce analog style compressors, saturation devices, and things like that that can also do toning. But obviously that is at more a more advanced level. So nonetheless, man, hopefully you enjoyed this video. Hopefully you learned something, you know what I mean? Tuning into, you know, the best info in the game, right? You know, you're not getting this in-depth information anywhere else on YouTube. So definitely make sure to smash like, help support the channel. Check out the web store as well if you want to learn a bit more about, you know, vocal recording, vocal mixing, etc., etc. As always, again, if you don't like mastering yourself, maybe you don't have an adequate room to master in, then definitely consider using LANDR. They are using an algorithm to basically fine-tune your track. I think they've done over 500,000 songs at this point. The AI is strong and it sounds good. I endorse it. So nonetheless, have a great Christmas. I'll check out in the next one. Peace out.